Welcome to ComfortTV.channel news, bringing you verified and balanced news from Nigeria and around the world. My name is Faith Kevin. Thank you for joining us this morning. In the headlines, new service chiefs outline strategies to tackle Nigeria's security challenges. Federal government urged Southeast entrepreneurs to embrace ECOWAS trade scheme. US-based group calls for urgent action against fake drugs in Nigeria. Governor Adeleke vows to complete Osun projects despite seized local government funds. FU Lafia appoints new vice-chancellor. NMA to begin monthly psychiatric checks for prison inmates nationwide. On business, landlords FATF delisting predicts improved capital inflows and trade opportunities for manufacturers. RAP approved President Tinubu's request to borrow $2.35 billion. On the foreign scene, Hurricane Melissa leaves trail of destruction across northern Caribbean. France arrests its third suspect over Louvre Museum burglary in Paris. On sports, Total Energies launch AFCON Trophy Tour in Lagos. Son of former Super Eagles left back withdraws from England's FIFA Under-17 World Cup. Now the news. The Senate has confirmed the newly appointed service chiefs nominated by President Bola Tinubu, with military top brass outlining fresh strategies to address Nigeria's security challenges. Those confirmed include Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede as Chief of Defense Staff (CDS), Rear Admiral Idi Abbas as Chief of Naval Staff, Major General Waidi Shoaibu as Chief of Army Staff, and Air Vice Marshal Sunday Kevin Aneke as Chief of Air Staff. Appearing before the Senate, General Oluyede urged the federal government to strengthen and adequately fund the Nigerian police force to relieve the military of internal security operations and allow it to focus on external defense and counter-terrorism. He also called for increased funding for the armed forces and prioritization of local production of military equipment to reduce reliance on imports. Rear Admiral Abbas rejected the proposed creation of a Nigerian Coast Guard, warning it will duplicate the Navy's function. He advocated directing available resources to strengthen naval operations, including the adoption of drone technology to curb oil theft and maritime crisis. Army Chief General Shoaibu vowed to deal decisively with the Lakurawa terrorist group operating in parts of the north, while Air Chief Aneke pledged to enhance the Air Force operational capacity through training, technology, and strategic innovation. The Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, commended the new service chiefs for their records of service and charged them to sustain efforts towards ending insecurity across the country. The federal government has called on the business community in the Southeast to take advantage of the Economic Community of West African States ECOWAS's Trade Liberalization Scheme, ETLS, to expand the international reach of their products. The ETLS, established in 1979, serves as a key instrument for regional integration within West Africa, promoting intra-regional trade and granting duty-free access to market for goods produced within member states. Speaking at a one-day workshop on the scheme's modalities in Enugu, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu, said the program aims to deepen regional integration through trade and empower small and medium enterprise SMEs to compete within the West African market. She noted that SMEs remain vital to Nigeria's economy as drivers of the innovation, employment, and inclusive growth. Strengthening them is essential for regional economic development. The minister expressed concern that the ETLS remains underutilized due to limited awareness among businesses and public institutions. He urged stakeholders to fully engage with the scheme to maximize its benefits. Representing Governor Peter Mba, Deputy Governor Ifeanyi Osai urged the federal government and financial institutions to create a more enabling environment for local industries. He called for the removal of barriers such as the high interest rate and strict collateral requirements that hinder SMEs from accessing credit facilities. Governor Mba also lamented the decline of once thriving industries in Nigeria and emphasized the need to revive local production capacity to enhance trade competitiveness within the ECOWAS sub-region Union. A U.S.-based non-profit and advocacy organization, Tilova for Africa (TFA), has called for the urgent and coordinated measures to stop the influx of fake, unadulterated, and expired drugs into Nigeria, describing the situation as a national health crisis. The group warned that the spread of substandard medicines poses a serious threat to public health, contributing to rise in cases of hypertension, kidney and liver diseases, heart failure and stroke across the country. Citing data from the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency (NPHCDA), TFA noted that about 70% of drugs circulating in Nigeria are substandard or counterfeit, with many imported from India, China, Pakistan, Egypt and Indonesia, while others are locally produced by unscrupulous manufacturers. The organization urged the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control (NAFDAC) to collaborate with health authorities in those countries to prevent the export of fake drugs to Nigeria. TFA co-founder Martin Wabweze, a pharmacist, called for greater vigilance and tougher enforcement by regulatory bodies including NAFDAC, the Pharmacist Council of Nigeria (PCN), and the Federal Ministry of Health. He also urged the federal government to declare a state of emergency on counterfeit and adulterated medicines to protect citizens' lives and restore confidence in the healthcare system. Ademola Adeleke has disclosed that his administration would not allow opposition plots to stall the completion of projects by withholding state funds from being utilized. The governor spoke during an on-the-spot assessment of the Lagos flyover and other ongoing infrastructure projects in Ile-Ife. He explained that the administration's drive to upgrade infrastructure in Ile-Ife and other major towns across the state was rooted in the belief that improved infrastructure accelerates economic development. Governor Adeleke accused the opposition of deliberately withholding about 100 billion naira belonging to the state in an attempt to frustrate key projects including the Ile-Ife flyover, Ilesha downstep Township dualization, Iwo and Ila Orangun Township roads, the Iwo-Oshobo Road reconstruction and the Lamiko flyover in Oshobo. He maintained that his administration remains committed to transparency and people-oriented governance, insisting that public funds must serve the collective interest of Osun residents. Adeleke also warned contractors and officials handling various projects against substandard delivery or abandonment of work. During the inspection, the project site engineer Michael Adebi assured that the Lagere flyover would be completed before the end of December 2025. The Governing Council of the Federal University of Lafia has approved the appointment of Professor Mohammed Issa Kida as the institution's new Vice-Chancellor. Before his appointment, Professor Kida served as the Dean of the Faculty of Management Science, where he was recognized for his academic excellence and administrative competence. An accomplished scholar and professional accountant, he has made notable contributions to research and development within the field of management and accounting. The announcement was made after a meeting of the FU Lafia Governing Council, chaired by Mrs. Lola Fibisola Akonde, during which the new Vice-Chancellor received his formal letter of appointment. His tenure, which will run for a single term of 5 years, is scheduled to commence on February 11, 2026. The Council expressed confidence that Professor Kida's leadership will further strengthen the university's academic standing, expand its research base, and enhance staff and student welfare. His appointment is expected to usher in a new phase of institutional growth focused on innovation, accountability, and sustainable development. Professor Kida will take over from Professor Shehu Abdurrahman, whose tenure as Vice-Chancellor ends in February 2026 after years of steady progress in expanding the university's infrastructure and academic programs. The Nigerian Medical Association (NMA) has announced plans to commence monthly psychiatric evaluation for all prison inmates across the country starting November 2025 as part of efforts to improve mental health care within the correctional system. The initiative was unveiled during a visit by the association's leadership to the Nigerian Correctional Service (NCO's) headquarters in Abuja, where the NMA also donated reusable sanitary pads to female inmates across correctional facilities nationwide. According to the association, the program is designed to ensure that every inmate receives regular mental health assessments. With the aim of supporting rehabilitation and reintegration efforts, the move follows a series of consultations between the NMA and the Correctional Service Service after recent findings highlighted the urgent need for structured psychological support within the prison system. The collaboration will also include capacity building for prison medical personnel, counseling services, and health education sessions tailored to the unique challenges faced by inmates. Officials of the Correctional Service described the partnership as a significant step toward reforming Nigeria's correctional health system, especially as mental health continues to play a critical role in rehabilitation outcomes. Comfort TV, the channel news, returns shortly with business, foreign, and sports news. Many thanks for staying tuned. This is Comfort TV, the channel news. Onto the world of business. Manufacturers Association of Nigeria (MAN) has described the country's removal from the Financial Action Task Force (FATF) grey list as a significant development with far-reaching implications for the manufacturing and investment landscape. According to MAN Director General Mr. Segun Ajayi Kadir, the delisting marks a critical boost to Nigeria's financial credibility, with the potential to ease access to global finance, reduce transaction risk, and enhance investor confidence. He noted that manufacturers being capital-intensive, trade-dependent, and highly sensitive to financial market sentiment stand to gain the most from this improved standing. The development, is said, will facilitate smoother cross-border transactions, lower borrowing costs, and strengthen export competitiveness. Mr. Ajayi Kadir highlighted that similar outcomes were recorded in countries such as Pakistan and Turkey, where removal from the grey list restored investor confidence and reactivated trade and capital flows. However, he cautioned that the extent of Nigeria's gains would depend on the government's ability to tackle domestic bottlenecks affecting competitiveness and investment. He urged fiscal and monetary authorities to leverage the momentum by expanding trade finance windows for manufacturers, improving access to long-term credit, and accelerating infrastructure and industrial reforms to sustain investor interest and drive real sector growth. The House of Representatives has approved President Bola Tinubu's request to borrow $2.35 billion to partially finance the 2025 budget deficit. The Green Chamber also granted approval for the issuance of a $500 million debut sovereign sukuk in the international capital market to fund the infrastructure project and diversify Nigeria's financing sources. The approval followed consideration of a report from the Committee on Aid, Loans and Debt Management. The House authorized the implementation of new external borrowing of 1.84 trillion naira, equaling $1.23 billion at the budget exchange rate of 1,500 naira per dollar, to help cover part of the 2025 budget deficit of 9.28 trillion naira. President Tinubu had sought the National Assembly's approval earlier in October, citing provisions of the Debt Management Office Establishment Act 2003, which require legislative consent for new loans and refinancing arrangements. He indicated that funds will be raised through instruments such as Eurobonds, loan syndications, or bridge financing, depending on market conditions. The President noted that current Eurobond yields for Nigeria's international debt range between 6.8 and 9.3%, depending on maturity. On the proposed sovereign sukuk, Tinubu said the move would deepen the government's securities markets, diversify the investor base, and support financing for critical infrastructure projects. Proceeds from the sukuk are expected to be partly used to repay high-cost existing debt, with the remainder allocated to infrastructure development. The federal government has previously raised over 1.39 trillion naira through domestic sukuk issuances between 2017 and 2025. Melissa struck Jamaica on Tuesday as a Category 5 hurricane with winds reaching 295 kilometers per hour, 185 miles per hour, matching Atlantic hurricane landfall records for both wind speed and barometric pressure. By early Wednesday, it had weakened to Category 3 when it hit eastern Cuba. The hurricane also triggered catastrophic flooding in Haiti, killing at least 25 people, with 18 others missing, primarily in the country's southern region. In Cuba, residents began clearing blocked thoroughfares using heavy equipment and military assistance, which also rescued people trapped in remote areas vulnerable to landslides. No deaths were reported after the civil defense evacuated more than 735,000 people across eastern Cuba, who are gradually returning home. Hurricane warnings remained active late on Wednesday for the southeastern and central Bahamas and Bermuda, with hurricane conditions expected to continue overnight in the southeastern Bahamas, where dozens have evacuated. Forecasters predict Melissa will pass near or west of Burma, potentially strengthening before eventually weakening. Still on the foreign scene, a third suspect has been arrested in connection with the burglary at the Louvre Museum earlier this month. According to BFM TV, police detained the suspect in the Paris region. He remains in custody for questioning as part of the ongoing investigation into the October 19 break-in at the world-renowned museum. The arrest comes after two other individuals believed to be his accomplices were charged and placed in pre-trial detention on Wednesday. The third man is suspected of belonging to the so-called Louvre Commando and of being present at the scene during the burglary. An investigation led by the Paris Judicial Police is continuing. The thieves stole 8 items from the museum, estimated to be worth $102.3 million. The stolen collection includes a necklace and an earring from the Marie-Louise collection, a necklace, earring, and a tiara from the Marie-Amélie and Hortense collections, and 2 brooches, a bodice bow, and a tiara from the Express Eugenie collection. Investigators later found Eugenie's crown, which the robbers abandoned near the museum, a discovery that the Louvre security guard described as evidence that their plan was thwarted. Onto the world of sports, the major sponsor of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON have officially launched the AFCON Trophy Tour in Lagos, marking the first public appearance of the gold-plated trophy valued at $4 million. The event, held at the company's headquarters in Victoria Island, symbolized the start of a 5-nation tour aimed at celebrating Africa's football spirit and uniting fans ahead of the continental showpiece. Managing Director of Total Energies Marketing Nigeria PLC, Dr. Samba Sheye, said the tour underscores the company's long-standing partnership with the Confederation of African Football (CAF) and its commitment to promoting the passion, energy, and unity football brings across the continent. According to the organizers, the AFCON Trophy will tour Nigeria, Angola, South Africa, Cote d'Ivoire, and Morocco, giving fans across Africa a chance to connect with the continent's most prestigious football prize. Total Energies executives and guests described Nigeria as the perfect place to begin the tour, highlighting the country's deep football culture and its role in shaping Africa's sporting history. Chelsea midfielder Landon Emenalo has withdrawn from England's squad for the 2025 FIFA Under-17 World Cup in Qatar after sustaining a foot injury. Emenalo, son of former Nigerian international and ex-Chelsea technical director Michael Emenalo, was part of coach Neil Ryan's 21-man list for the tournament after injury during Chelsea's UEFA Youth League win over Ajax on October 22, and his substitution in the 61st minute has been confirmed as injury-related. Born in Tucson, Arizona, Emenalo is eligible to represent Nigeria, the United States, and England through the English FA. Though the English FA currently lead the race for his international allegiance after captaining him in a competitive Under-17 European Championship qualifier against Malta in 2024. In his absence, English squad for Qatar still features 2 players of Nigerian descent. West Ham goalkeeper Lanre Awesu and Chelsea striker Chizaram Ezenwata. The Young Lions, champions in 2017, have been drawn in Group C alongside Venezuela, Haiti, and Egypt. And that's our news bulletin for the morning. But before we go, here is a recap of our top stories. News service chiefs outline strategies to tackle Nigeria's security challenges. Federal government urges Southeast entrepreneurs to embrace ECOWAS trade scheme. US-based group calls for urgent action against fake drugs in Nigeria. Governor Adeleke vows to complete ocean projects despite seized local government funds. Lafia appoints new vice chancellor. NMA to begin monthly psychiatric checks for prison inmates. On business, Lord's FATF, the listing predicts improved capital inflows and trade opportunities for manufacturers. On the foreign scene, Hurricane Melissa leaves trail of destruction across Northern Caribbean. And on sport, Total Energy launches AFCON Trophy Tour in Lagos. Thanks for watching. For breaking news, exclusive interviews, and more, follow us online at ComfortTV.channel on all platforms. Remember to like and share our videos, subscribe to our channel, and click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on future updates. My name remains Faith Kevin. Until next time, stay informed, stay connected.